Hey everyone, Corno Pinoy X here once again, back with another video. Today I'm gonna be joining the bandwagon of talking about Sunbreak a little bit more just because of the fact that we're gonna be waiting a while for Tokyo Game Show, and I thought I'd go ahead and talk about my thoughts and opinions regarding the initial trailer, what we saw, and what I'm hoping Capcom talks about in Tokyo Game Show coming up this week. Now first of all, let's talk about my initial impression regarding what we just saw. Now regarding my initial impression about Sunbreak's trailer, I am super hyped up. That's the reason why I'm joining the bandwagon of making videos about it right now. And at the same time, I have a lot of questions regarding this particular expansion. The first one is going to be, are we traveling into a different kingdom of some sort? This is because of the fact that the setting that we saw in the trailer feels more Western-like. The locale feels more Western, and even the monster feels more Western-inspired in comparison to what we saw back in Kamura Village. This means that it's possible we could be traveling into a new kingdom, possibly Ron Dean's kingdom where she is from, and we may even meet her sister along the way. Those are some of the things I'm kind of guessing here, just because of the fact that the trailer in and of itself does feel like we're going into a foreign country. Our character doesn't look like they belong in that region where the locale is, and to be quite honest, because of the fact that the monster feels like Dracula to some degree, it doesn't really feel like they're going with the whole Japanese yokai mythos anymore here. Everyone kind of caught up on that, myself included, so I'm really hoping that they give us more information regarding the location that we're going to be exploring and people that we will meet alongside the hub town that we're going to be going into. Now moving away from the setting, let's now talk about monsters very quickly here. The question I have at this point is, are they gonna be doing what they did back in the base game where they focus on a certain mythos, or are they gonna expand upon that by having a broader option of Western mythology and possibly other mythologies outside of the Western region? In my opinion, they should go with the latter, because what happened with the base game is that it felt like they got limited by the amount of yokai that they could look into for inspiration. Hence the reason why there weren't as much monsters with this title in comparison to previous Monster Hunter games. So that is something that I thought might have happened during the initial creation of Monster Hunter Rise. If they can broaden the horizon with regards to the inspiration for monsters, I think they will have a lot more options in what creatures they can create. Hopefully this is something that we will see during Tokyo Game Show once again, but I would like to personally see something along the lines of Greek mythology and Nordic mythology being utilized as inspiration in order to create certain monsters. I would love to see a new large monster, possibly in the same scale as Dalamadur, that's inspired by the World Serpent, for example. So there's definitely a lot of precedents that Capcom can look into if they're gonna take a look at Western mythology and broaden the horizon rather than just focusing on a single one. Now, newer monsters aside, what about returning creatures? Well, Capcom did say that there is a historical monster returning in Sunbreak, and a lot of people instantly jumped this bandwagon where they think historical monster equals Black Dragon, and everyone instantly thought it was gonna be Daimiralis. As much as I would love Daimiralis to return in Sunbreak as an initial release monster, I highly doubt Capcom would do this given what happened in Iceborne. If they're gonna release a Black Dragon in Sunbreak, they will release it as a title DLC update in my opinion. I could be completely proven wrong here though, I would love to be proven wrong, but that's what I feel is gonna happen if we are talking about a Black Dragon at this moment in time. Having said that though, I do feel there is at least one monster that does fit the theme of being historical, and a lot of people actually know this monster. Both the Western audience and the Japanese audience are quite familiar with this creature to the point that it feels overrated to some degree in my opinion. Overrated aside though, I do think this is the perfect monster to be considered historical, and that is going to be Gormagala. Gormagala is the perfect fit for a historical monster that many people know and at the same time fits perfectly with the theme of Sunbreak. Hopefully this is something Capcom would confirm in Tokyo Game Show, but at the same time I'm holding a low level of hype here just in case it's a completely different monster that they're gonna mention here outside of Gormagala. Now, outside of Gormagala and Daimiralis, there are other monsters out there that Capcom could bring into Sunbreak, and I'm not gonna lie, I'd be listing the entire list of all of the monsters available in the entire series if I did so. However, having said that, there are some key creatures that I'm really hoping Capcom takes into consideration when launching Sunbreak. The first one is going to be the Lagiacrus. Lagiacrus was originally slated for Monster Hunter World, however due to technical limitations, the Leviathans in general did not make it, even though we did have the demo of the game where Lagiacrus was in it at some point. I'm really hoping that in Sunbreak, they can finally bring back this OG Leviathan. We already have 3 Leviathans in the base game, which is Mizutsune, Almudron, and Somnacan. It's perfect for them to bring back Lagiacrus at this point now, because they no longer have that issue with Leviathans in general with the RE engine running Rise rather than empty frameworks. Other sets of monsters we could be looking into are the likes of Astalos and Gammoth, the other members of the Fated Four, just because of the fact that we already have Mizutsune. We can also have the likes of Gogmazios, the Nakarkos, and even Nergigante as well as Valhazak if we're going with that horror theme that they have going on in Sunbreak. In terms of other monsters outside Elder Dragons, we could also have Seregios as a flying wyvern and even the Legiana. Maybe something along the lines of the Odogaron for another demonic monster. And in regards to other categories that are not present in both Rise and even Iceborne, we could take a look at Snake Wyverns and Catapacions at this point. In the Catapacion category, we obviously have the Daimyo Hermitor as well as the Shogun Sayanator, and they can make apexes out of those monsters as well because they have deviant forms. And with regards to Snake Wyverns, there's only one Snake Wyvern as of right now, which is the Najarala and its subspecies, but you can also have a new monster similar to what they did with Temnocerans with the introduction of Raknakadaki. So hopefully these are some creatures that we get to see in Rise Sunbreak. If there are any monsters that I haven't mentioned as of right now that you would like to see return in Sunbreak, let us know in the comments below which monsters these are and why you think they should return with this expansion. Alongside that, if you have any ideas at all for newer monsters in the series, possibly based on any Western mythology or any mythologies across the world, let us know in the comments below as well what kind of monsters you would like to see introduced with this title expansion and what kind of mythos you would base them on. So yeah, those are all the monster talks that we have as of right now regarding Sunbreak as a whole, and hopefully Capcom will deliver more information on that with regards to both new monsters and returning monsters, just like what they did with Rise's initial release. And finally, before I conclude this video, I want to quickly talk about 2 things. The first one is going to be the new moves that's going to be introduced in this expansion that Capcom mentioned at the end of the trailer. More than likely, they are going to be focused on switch skills, but the question is, just how expansive are they going to be in comparison to the base game? I hate to say it, but unfortunately for me, switch skills were very lackluster in the base game if you compare it to something like the hunting styles back in base generation. In generation alone, you can have up to 4 ways to play a single weapon type, 6 ways if we take into consideration the ultimate expansion. So hopefully this is something that Capcom will expand upon far further in comparison to what we got with the base game if we take a look at new switch skills in Sunbreak. Alongside that, I also have a question about new game modes. Obviously, the main focus back in the base game was the Rampage. Are they gonna expand upon that, or are they gonna add something new in Sunbreak that's not similar to the Rampage but hopefully is considered as a new game mode? Again, this is something that I'm hoping they address during Tokyo Game Show because of the fact that it is detrimental to what we're gonna be experiencing with this expansion. Obviously, in the base game, the Rampage was heavily tied to the story. Is that gonna be a problem in expanding the Rampage as a whole during the Sunbreak expansion? So yeah, those are all the things I'm hoping Capcom addresses outside of monsters and the setting that we have for this upcoming expansion. And that's gonna be pretty much it for me for this video. I think I've rambled on long enough about Sunbreak, the content that I want to see, and any other information that I want Capcom to cover during Tokyo Game Show. With that being said, what other content would you personally like to see Capcom cover in Tokyo Game Show for Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak? Let us know in the comments below your thoughts and opinions on what Capcom should cover content-wise for this upcoming expansion for Monster Hunter Rise. Now, with all of that being said, if you enjoyed these videos, please consider hitting the like on the video itself and subscribing to the channel, as well as hitting that bell icon so you can go ahead and catch up on any future Monster Hunter content that I might be doing or any other games that I might be playing in future. Until then, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks ever so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Onward and upward.